Admit all.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. If you're here, say hello. Hello, if you're here, say
Howdy.
Bring her in. Could you bring her in? We'll be starting in 1 moment. Well, 2 moments, actually. All right, everyone. Let me first of all say welcome. In the words of the great Raymond Chandler, down these mean streets a man must go who is neither tarnished nor afraid, and none of us are afraid in this particular category. Hello. Hi. This is the 2022 LA Neo novel film. If you can make some noise. Woo! Noise. Woo! All right. Bring her in. All right. Bring her in the room. You have a bit of an I need everyone to mute. Okay. We're going to get started in just 1 second. Bringing people. I'll admit it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to start my speech once again. Down these mean, everyone mute your phone so we can hear my wonderful speech. Down these mean streets, a man must go, neither tarnished nor afraid. Those are the words of the great Raymond Chandler, the father of film noir and the father of our neo-noir. And we're here in 2022 to celebrate with the 2022 LA Neo-Noir Novel Film and Script Fest. Somebody make some noise. Don't mute it, don't mute it. Yeah, keep it muted, okay. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go one by one and you're gonna share with us who you are, what your neo-noir project is, give us a brief summary of what it's about, and then you're gonna tell us maybe what you're working on next and where we can reach you. And then I'm gonna have a few more questions for you, but we're gonna save those till after we've gotten everybody's information. So we're gonna go one by one, and I just want you to tell me a little bit about yourself. Before we get started, I wanna thank iPad TV. I'd like to thank Final Draft Software for all of the good products that they've presented to us. I'd also like to thank a young lady by the name of Shanice Coleman and her radio show called Radio Theater for the Soul. We couldn't do this without their help and without their great, wonderful products. And now we're going to move on and hear from, also we want to thank SMG Films. SMG Films, another great sponsor of ours. We'd like to hear now from the great, the legendary Stuart Long. Stuart, unmute yourself so we can hear from you and tell us about your project and who you are, and just give us the whole shebang. Stuart Long. Unmute yourself, Stuart. Oh, did we add? Oh.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Los Angeles, from Kuwait City in Kuwait. My story was about, it's called The Peacemakers. It's about two Southern police officers, one black, one white. One's a sheriff of a small black municipality, one's a sheriff of a small white town. And there's a series of murders in the area between the two towns. It's actually based on a true story in North Carolina. And one police officer one sheriff is conventional and one's non-conventional. And the focus of the story is on the black police sheriff who is afraid that the investigation will lead to a change of his town, and he's trying to protect his town and keep it simple. It's an election year. Both sheriffs are looking to get reelected, and they have to solve this murder case at the same time. Why do I like neo-noir films? I just love the way they're filmed, the black and white, the darkness, and to me they're like the most cruel kind of films. And you feel like as a spectator you're battling with this film, and the only way to figure it out is to wait to the very end where you find out the answer. Usually there's a murder mystery. You don't like protagonists at the beginning, but at the end you like them, and you're starting to root for them.
Stuart, let me ask you, Stuart, are you the screenwriter? What's your capacity as far as this story is concerned? What did you do for it?
All right, I wrote the screenplay. I write the screenplay.
Okay. And Stuart, let me ask you, since you brought up this idea of cops getting along, the black and the white, did you do this? Is there some, were you inspired by some of the present day problems that we're having concerning the cops and black people, or what inspired you to make this particular story and this particular issue?
Well, yes, it's that. You know, it's been a rough few years for police officers. They're not so popular as they used to be, but to me, I don't see police officers as the way they're portrayed sometimes. And I wanted a story that portrayed them more in a human respect. I even chose the peacemakers. I was trying to think of something to identify law enforcement in a positive way, and not just the law perspective, but what their overall job is. And I thought peacemakers, that actually the quote from the Bible. You know, it's about...
I know what you mean. I think you're talking about blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall see God, or something to that effect. That is correct.
Yes, sir. Good for you. Good for you. You got that one right. Yeah, blessed are the peacemakers, for they are the children of God. But it doesn't mean they're perfect.
Right.
And I thought, you know, the story, plus the story is from several years ago from when I grew up. There was a series of serial murders of prostitutes, young prostitutes, in a sort of a no man's area. It's in between a couple of towns near the river. And there was a conflict of had authority in that area to investigate. And quite frankly, the murders went unnoticed for a while, and somebody put it together that, hey, this is a serial killer. So that's where that story comes from.
Before you go any further, I just want to ask you one more question. Do neo-noir creators or film, I don't know about all filmmakers, I'm only concerned with noir people, but do neo-noir creators, do you feel as artists we have an obligation to speak of issues in the news or issues that people are concerned with? Or should we just make damn good films with some good shadows in it and some good masterminds? Do we have a moral obligation of any sort, or should we just make damn good artistic films? Or what's your view on those issues?
I think we're supposed to entertain. We're not news, so we don't come in and give actual hard news, but we're to make. We're supposed to delve into characters and into the filmmaking and present a story, some story that you would want to sit through for 90 minutes to 2 hours, and entertain. That's our number one thing: entertain.
Okay. Stuart, where can we find you if we want to see some more of your work or we want to contact you?
Well, I live overseas, so I'm an American contractor, so I've moved from different countries to different countries, but the best way is to reach me is through my email address, which I have on the script.
Okay. All right. And are you doing anything next, Stuart? Is this it for you, or do you intend to write anything more after this?
No, right now I'm running a TV series, a sci-fi fantasy TV series. It takes place in the 25th century. It's based on the U.S. Space Force colonizing the moon, straight fantasy. But the protagonist is a young woman who is a female James Kirk character. But unlike Kirk, she's in the middle of her career and not at the top of her career. In each series, each episode, she's either successful in proving to her bosses that she's ready to take over a lunar station, or she just isn't ready and she fails completely. But each episode is going to have a different thing.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. You're welcome to hang out if you'd like, but that's all the questions we have. You've been a great source of inspiration, and we'll talk to you soon. Be in touch.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Next, we want to hear from the great, give it up for Stuart, ladies and gentlemen. Next, we want to hear from the great, legendary, a woman that needs no introduction. Oh, her name's Kay Caldro. Caldro, unmute yourself and let us know who you are. And let me know if I totally messed up the pronunciation of your name as well.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly.
Gotcha. So my name is Kai Caldro, and I'm a dude, but I get that a lot. It's great. It's kind of what I'm good. It's all good. I take it as a compliment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my film is called Dissolved Girl, and it's a sci-fi neo-noir that I think borders more on the cyberpunk territory, sort of like The Matrix, Blade Runner, Ghost in the Shell, or Dark City. And it's a half-hour long film that it follows the structure kind of like a TV pilot, meeting its two central protagonists and setting up, their adventures together. And it so where do I begin? Yeah, it's set during a time of a political and cultural tension between man and machine, who are having trouble sharing the world together. And in dystopian New York City, during this time, a young misunderstood computer hacker who's a human and an undercover robot cop, they must overcome their differences whilst procuring a caper to expose the cybercrime queen of the future. Yeah.
Okay. Now, are you the writer of it, Kai? Or?
I am the writer, director, and the editor.
All right. All right. Now, let me ask you, is your work inspired by modern times, or does it make some type of social commentary, or it's just outside in its own reality that has nothing to do with what we're doing here?
I'd like to say all of the above. I think it definitely, I think if there's one big issue that I, being quite young, that I feel like I've grown up in since circa 2015 is, the conflation of all the, our social or cultural issues with our technological reliance and, social media and how algorithms, become perpetuated. And so this is a very literal approach to, our technological oversaturation and our kind of our human, our human social and cultural clashes where it's humans and machines clashing.
Let me ask you, Kai, this is kind of an off the wall question, but it's in the vein of neo-noir nonetheless. Let's say we have an up and coming writer that's in their teens, that's not graduated from high school yet, if they plan on graduating at all. And they're a little, they're not getting the right support as far, what would you tell a person that's coming up, that's just learning how to write, that's coming into their own identity, that, is there any advice you would give them or anything that you would care to hear from them? What would be your words of wisdom for them?
Well, if I would say, and I think this applies especially to neo-noir films, I think because they're so dramatized and mysterious and have a mystique to them. I think I advise anyone at any age, at any point, who's wants to be a writer or a screenwriter, especially. I would suggest also. They say that directors, should also become still photographers to learn shot composition. I think screenwriters should also become songwriters. Not saying they have to perform or be musicians, just try writing lyrics, because I think that can, especially with the neo-noir films, or even the classic ones. I think that really elevates the dialogue when you because if it's because song lyrics are so they're an abstraction and they transcend what's in between, the two people in the room and just the literal situation. And I think, I think film noir in its essence, it has that very, abstract, quality to it. And I think all the best dialogue in any film, whether it's, neo-noir or whatnot, it sounds like, it sounds like song lyrics, I think, what is it that the Jack Nicholson as the Joker says in the first Batman movie, that line, "You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?" I feel like that's got to be like heavy metal lyrics someplace,
Right.
Or, another great inspiration, James Cameron. Look, if you listen to, like the way that, Sarah Connor talks about Kyle Reese and, at the end of the Terminator, or the way that Rose talks about Jack Dawson posthumously in the present day in Titanic, they sound like they could be like, old bittersweet Americana country songs, like,
I see.
yeah, it's interesting, so I would say that, because I think no matter how, I think no matter like, I think no matter how believable or relatable you want your characters to be, they're not real. And I think they're, I think, embracing that, that disconnection from reality in a way that, you don't really have to explain. I think that's one of the many great things about any and all writing and art in general.
Kai, in final words, tell me, what are you doing in the future and how can we reach you? Knock it out.
Yeah, right now, I'm in pre-production on my directorial debut, which I'm writing, directing, and editing. And that is called Sinner's Lullaby. And this one is black and white. Dissolved Girl was in color. This one is full black and white. And this one, I would describe it as being like film noir meets Headbangers Ball.
Okay.
It's so I imagine like The Crow meets Alfred Hitchcock movies. So it follows on Devil's Night, the night before Halloween. It follows a private detective who moonlights as a rock star, a frontwoman of a band, the eponymously named band Sinner's Lullaby. Her and her girlfriend, who is the complete opposite. She's a lounge singer. They have to overcome their differences and band together, both combatively and musically, when the criminal empire plaguing their city is mysteriously overthrown by an even more menacing figure who is the ultimate femme fatale. And my good friends Kim and Catherine Kluge, who were the composers for the score composers for Silence, Martin Scorsese's movie with Andrew Garfield and Adam Driver and Liam Neeson. They are my composers, and it's a very musically driven film given the two protagonists, the two heroes. So where we began considering the music very early on.
Where can we reach you, Kai? Tell us where we can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Kai Caldro. I'm also on IMDb, and there's my website, sinnerslullaby.com.
Thank you so much, Kai. Be well. Thank you for your neo-noir contribution.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Next, we have the one and only lovely Kaya Freites. Help me say that correctly, because I know I screwed it up. Hi, Kaya. How do you say your name?
You're close.
Okay.
It's Kaya Freites.
There we go. Tell us, Kaya, who you are, what you did, and what you're guilty of, and tell us about your storyline too. Tell us what's the name of your project, what is it about, and tell it to us in a nice, juicy, quick way so we can get the hell out of here. Tell us about it.
I'm Kaya, and I'm the screenwriter, actor, and co-director of Intermission. And Intermission is a short film about a woman grappling with the loss of something important to her and isolating herself at home. It's set in modern day and is based off of like experience of isolation and COVID, but it's kind of in black and white, and it looks almost like it's set in the 1950s with like the costuming and like the decor and everything and the look of it, because I want it to feel like it could be anytime and relatable to any time and space.
Let me ask you, Kaya. I'm thinking of kayak for some reason, and I want to sail into a beautiful memory of this particular LA Neo Noir Festival. Let me ask you, and this you don't have to answer it, but it would be interesting if you did. Do you feel there is an obligation from you to tell stories that feature women's point of view, women of color? Do you have an obligation in your stories to do that for you personally? Or are you once again just focusing on the whole story, minorities and women be damned? I just want to focus on making a damn good script. What do you feel? Give us some insight on how you come at something like that.
Well, I think everyone wants to make a like just a damn good script, but I think anything that I am gonna write is gonna be from like a feminine and also Black perspective because that's who I am and like my experience. So obviously just like writing from my own experience. And I think everyone like has like their experiences are necessary to be shared so that we can like experience other people's stories. Like I'm a big fan of Insecure and Rami and like those shows that are so like big for the culture that they represent, and like I think more of that is always needed. Absolutely.
Do you feel that there is a need for artists of people of color to be universal? I hear that a lot where they say this is a universal film, everyone can appeal to it. But then I look at movies like Goodfellas and I say it's not necessarily universal, but it's a damn good movie. What's your view on that? What do you feel that we have to make films that encompass the diaspora of the world and have to include people, or can we make something totally just all Black with all Black characters and people will still appeal to it? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think that people can make a movie about all Black people and all Black characters, and there's still relatability that is universal because we're all still human, and comedy is comedy, drama is drama. I think definitely can still be relatable, but I think also if you want to make a sci-fi film or something that's also starring Black characters, like obviously maybe that's not relatable to like what's actually happening in the real world, but it's still important to have diverse faces and voices in the writers' room for those kinds of stories as well.
I see. I have 100 more questions. We're just going to do 99. We're not going to do them right now. I just want to ask you one right now. What's your next project? What are you working on after this?
I'm currently working on a novel, a young adult novel that I'm also in pre-production to do a short film for this December. It's called RIP, LOL, rest in peace, LOL. About a girl who's a Black girl who goes to NYU who's grappling with the loss of her brother. And it's kind of like a dramedy. It's kind of sad, but also funny. And I wanted to kind of like just talk about like the humor that there can be in grief and mourning.
That's deep. I've cried and laughed at a lot of funerals. That's what. Well, we want to thank you, Kaya, for coming and sharing your great neo-noir with us. Where can we reach you if we want to get some more good material from you?
You can find me on Instagram or TikTok at Kaya Freights, or kayafreights.com. I'm primarily an actor, so most of my acting stuff's on there, but I will be writing a few more things in the next few months. So
all
yeah,
right. Thank you so much, Kaya, for staying.
Thank you.
If you want to stay, I will have some more questions later, or you can go on and write some more neo-noir. It's up to you. But thank you so much, and have a good day. Next, we want to move on. After hearing that explosive commentary from Kaya, we're going to go over to the great legendary Henry Zanin.
Henry Zinin.
Thank you, Henry Zanin. Tell us, Henry, who the heck are you? What is your story about? And just give us the whole shebang.
Yeah, I'm Henry. I'm a director, writer, producer, executive producer of my neo-noir drama Saul. It's about a young stitchy man who's obsessed with accumulating money and power, and even though he has everything for himself, but he ends up being homeless. So it's basically a non-linear film. Takes place in the future in 2049, where we have a reporter looking for a story, and where he meets the old man, which is a rich guy, and it creates I want to create parallels between the two characters, a reporter and the old man, which is the rich guy. It creates like the same characteristics, except it's like rich guy, the guy named Othman, he's obsessed with money, and the reporter, he's obsessed with his job to find a way to win it. So for example, so for example, like if you've seen the movie like A Christmas Carol, like A Christmas Carol, that young reporter Halbert, he has to escape from fate. Otherwise, he'll end up being homeless, like the old guy. So the old guy becomes like a mentor to Halbert. which is Othman. Othman is the rich guy, basically.
Henry, are you writing the same story now that you would write if you were 12 years old? And if not, why not? What's the difference between the Henry the writer now and the Henry writer of 11 years old?
To be honest with you, I'm a learning disability filmmaker, but I've been writing scripts for many times for over I say about 30 drafts, and because it was planned to be an ambitious project, but because of a higher budget and COVID restrictions that time, and we had to keep the limited budget and then make it simple, as short as possible. So I had to keep it as linear, as short as I can, but it's turned out well by the end.
Tell me, Henry, what do you love about the neo-noir genre, if anything?
Yes, I was so inspired. One of the films, Ryan Johnson's Brick, and it's very poetic and abstract stories that really has a sense of darkness, darkness and secrecy, and also I'm also inspired Citizen Kane and A Christmas Carol, that really shows obsessing power and money, like Scrooge obsessing power, and he has to escape fate, just like Halbert the reporter has to escape fate. So he has to make a choice, either hang out with his girlfriend or find a job. So this is the same parallels between Halbert and Othman. And Citizen Kane, the same thing as a non-linear film, where we see backstories of Othman, young Othman, see where he was. He was one of the rich people who runs the salt business in his family's heritage.
Okay, Henry, give me in a nutshell, what are you working on now? Where can we reach you if we need you?
You can find my website, and it's called find my website, Henry Zinin. If you don't mind, I can even send you my link. I do have Instagram. Instagram is called Henry Zinin 22 or something like that.
Okay, and what are you working on, Henry?
Yeah, I'm working on few drafts ideas for my next animated films for fun, and also I'm planning to develop a new short film about a victim who becomes a meat product in a grocery store.
Wow, that sounds interesting. I've been to grocery stores. Thank you so much, Henry. We're going to talk to you soon. Have a great neo-noir evening.
Thank you so much.
We're going to move on now to my friend Mulaki. Oh, that's deep. I know I screwed that name up, but it's fine. We're going to keep moving.
No. Completely
I got
correct.
it right. I'm going to take it for that. Here's to
Hi from England. I'm Mulaki. I guess I'll introduce my film straight up. I'm Mulaki. I'm the director, writer, producer of a film called Shroom Baby, and it's a little different. It's a kind of noirish 1950s set horror set during the atomic age, and it focuses on a couple who've given birth to a baby that's part mushroom. And over the course of one day, we're watching as the couple and their government handler are attempting to deal with the situation, and the baby is slowly putting its parents through strange physical and mental changes. My elevator pitch.
That's beautiful, Mew. That was nice and concise. I love that. Mew, I put this obligation thing on everybody, you know. My ex-wife puts it on with me and the kids, so I'm putting it on you too. What obligation do you have, if any, to tell a young man's story, a story from a person from England? Do you have any obligation to your culture and where you come from to influx that into your work? Or is your work, once again, solely artistic, that is removed from you and just a great artistic work of art in your mind's eye? Talk to us a little bit about your obligations you may feel you have to a story. What is it that is a necessity that has to be in your artwork?
I think I want my writing and my filmmaking to come from the heart. I want to feel passionate, and it can be a case by case basis, because Shroom Baby is set in 1950s America, and I'm making it in England and in a British film school, and it was just something I felt like I had to make. But I'm writing things that are set in England, and it all kind of comes down to what am I feeling at the time? What is making me feel the urge to tell that specific story?
what are you working on now? Any other projects?
So I'm working on a couple things. I'm writing a lot. Currently I'm writing a neo-noir, which is set in my hometown, and it's about a young reporter who's recovering from surgery and starts taking up investigative detective work. And I'm also writing a very loose adaptation of Frankenstein. And then my third thing is I'm trying to set up a support system for, you know, young British filmmakers. I feel like the industry here doesn't sort of foster talent the way I'd like it to, and I want to be kind of part of that. Those are the kind of three things I'm trying to work on right now.
Makes sense, Moo. Where can we reach you, Moo, for extra great Moolicious work such as yours?
You can reach me at my Twitter. That's Moolaki Presents, and that's my site is also moolakipresents.cargo.site. You can also reach me by Instagram, which is Look It's Moo. But those are the three main ones, and I'm pretty active on all three.
Thank you so much, Moolaki, for sharing us with your work, or sharing your work with us, I should say. You know, if you're not happening with Moolaki, you're Moolaki.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, Moo. And
I appreciate the opportunity very much. I'll let you go on to the next guy.
My condolences. We have next the great legendary Laura Kelber, ladies and gentlemen. Laura Kelber. Please unmute yourself and let your voice be heard, Laura.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly, pristinely.
Okay, so I am Laura Kelber, and I'm a screenwriter here with my script, Sparky.
Wow. Go ahead and tell us about it. What the hell? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so picture a Venn diagram. In the first circle, you have the military. In the second circle, you have the mob. And in the third circle, you have the rowdiest Donald Trump rally imaginable. And in the intersection of those three worlds, you have the New York City construction industry. And that's where my script takes place. And the New York City construction industry is a world dominated by white men. And my protagonist, a Black woman, electrician, is the ultimate outsider. As the story begins, her work partner falls to his death on the construction site where they work. The shop steward says it was an accident, but our heroine believes it's murder. And the more questions she asks, the deeper she gets into the corrupt underbelly of the construction world. Sparky is the name that other trades call an electrician. The Sparky's job is to bring light to the darkness. It's a profession that lends itself to noir in terms of the work environment and the personalities you encounter there. It was my profession for 18 years. The question the story asks is the question I asked myself during those 18 years. What does it take for an outsider to become an insider?
Oh my gosh, I'm moved beyond words. Here's just a few more words that I still have left.
Okay.
Let me ask you, Laura, as a Black woman, I don't know if you are or not, but what encouraged you, or what makes you feel that you got it down to write the perfect Black character? Did you do research? Were you Black for a couple of years? What was it that gave you the impetus to feel you had the character down and that you were not just making a mess out there? What made you think it was good? Or what research did you do?
Yeah, I am a white woman, but I did work, I know, shock.
Okay, go ahead.
It's a big revelation.
Yes.
But I did work in the construction industry for 18 years. And, you know, those of us who were women, there were not many of us, and we tended to support each other a lot. And, you know, we had sort of regular kind of get-togethers where we just unload all our misery on each other.
Yeah.
And, you know, a number of the women who were my friends were Black women in construction. So I heard their stories. And my protagonist is actually a combination of two of those women. but I've also, of course, put my experiences in. It's a very misogynist and it's a very racist industry. And I wanted my protagonist to be a Black woman because I wanted to also address the racism that's in the industry. And it's not microaggressions. It's really overt stuff. Like a couple of years ago, a Black apprentice found a noose in his work area. And it turned out that his foreman had put it there just as a funny joke.
Wow.
So that's the kind of atmosphere that there is, you know, in this very day and age. And the misogyny is really bad. So I wanted to show that, but also tell an entertaining story.
Laura, what are you working on now and how can we reach you in the future?
I'm working on another script about someone who organizes a movement to take over unused housing in New York. But the best way to reach me, I guess my email is on the script, and I also have an IMDb page where I've shamelessly put my email for all.
There we go. There we go. Thank you, Laura, for your authenticity. I may have a few more authentic questions for you later on. You're welcome to stay, but for the most part, thank you and have an excellent neo-noir night.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man I'm going to bring to the stage next is a three-time, I suspect, at least three-time LA Neo-Noir Festival winner. This gentleman's script made me literally laugh till I peed on myself. I don't have any type of incontinence of any kind, but his script had did that physically to me. So I'm glad that he's back again. He knows who he is, and I know who he is, and now you know who he is. The great, the legendary Mr. Morris D. Smalls, ladies and gentlemen. Come on in, Morris.
Hello, everybody. My name is Morris Small. Congratulations to everybody. Carrie, it's great to see you as always. Just to get into it, Detective MJ was technically supposed to be a TV series. With the first feature, short film, try to make it a little better, try to make it more neo-noir. This second feature installment, which I directed, produced, acted in, written, found the locations, blah, 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 you know the story. This one is more about current affairs, stuff with music artists. The first one was pretty much a DC underground boss, and he was fighting with some gentlemen in New York. This one is more like a rapper, and he's like a businessman slash killer slash whatever you want to call him, entrepreneur. And this was another.
I'm here, man. I got lost, bro.
No worries, man. Just hang back and sit back. We're listening to legendary Morris right now. Just enjoy this good Morris talk. Go ahead, Morris. Finish.
Too much is and as usual, me and my partner, Detective Wills, the gentleman in the wheelchair, and try to fight some crime.
There you go. Tell us, Morris, do you have an obligation to be funny, or do you just want to do some serious crime films next? Or what's your feeling about being funny and not being funny in neo-noir?
Not poof. Well, being as though neo-noir didn't have too many comedies, and me being and us in the product, hopefully we inspire people to want to do more comedy neo-noir. Comedy is hard by itself, and me being an actor that's being new to it, is extremely challenging. Everybody has different levels of comedy. It can be physical, it can be just jokes, so cracking, but then you got to watch certain stuff you have to say. But for the most part, I just grown attached to it now. Like it's my baby now. I don't want to let it go, but you know, I just hope people like it. Like Stuart said, I want to entertain. I don't want to cheat my audience, period.
Let me ask you, Morris, I'm going to take you way back to like before the dinosaurs, around 1993 or something to that effect.
Okay.
There was a movie called Malcolm X, and a gentleman by the name of Spike Lee co-starred in it.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Are you familiar with him? Now, he played a character, and his character was really based on the man Red Fox. And a lot of people feel a certain way about that. They feel like, man, we could have saw a new actor, but this damn Spike Lee wants to be in every damn thing, and we can't get to see the real Red Fox because Spike Lee with his little cricket self is in there. They said that. I didn't say that. So what's your view on directors being in their own movies? And is there a time when you get the hell out of it, or are you just so damn good that nobody can take your place in this script? Talk to us about that, Morris.
To each his own. Spike really wanted to get the message. I think it probably helped him to do better directing as he was into the character more. So it might have been some rewrites, I'm not sure. But say I would definitely tell people to definitely, you could step behind the camera, step in. I would rather I will do both, or I would just do a little bit, because I'm still an actor first. And I'm still developing my craft or trying to get into a better craft of doing better directing and storytelling. So,
what can we look for from you, Morris, in the future, and how can people get in touch with you?
people can get in touch with me on my Instagram, or you can go to detectivemjmovies.com. We're also available on Amazon Prime, thank goodness. I would say we're kind of in pre-production, but we're not really sure what direction. It's going to be another comedy, though. I will tell you that.
All right. Thank you so much, Morris, for your time and your great expertise on this issue. We'll be talking soon. Good day.
Thank you.
All right. We have the legendary Kieran Morris, which is no relation to Morris D. Small. This is a totally different guy. Kieran, talk to us about what you're doing, what your project is, and just give us the whole hullabaloo.
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Kieran Morris. I'm the director, writer, and editor of my short film Pandemonium, which follows a teen protagonist through a journey of self-discovery and internal conflict after a falling out with one of his good mates. And because of that and his damaged psyche and anxiety, his mind begins to spiral into a depersonalized and hellish state, to the point where he starts questioning his own reality. And it's here where he's faced with and must conquer his personified subconscious in search of tranquility.
Hold on one second, Kieran. Whoever has their phone on, please mute yourself.
Don't worry about what he's saying or answer his
Hey,
question.
mute yourself, lady. Whoever this is, mute it, mute it, mute it. We don't want to be in here. Mute your phone. Okay, I'm sorry about that, Morris. Continue.
That's all right. Yeah, as I was saying, he's in the end, he's faced with and must conquer a sort of vision of his personified subconscious in search of tranquility and peace of mind. And it's here when he's presented with an ultimatum that will forever change his life.
Wow. Wow, that was so deep. I'm going to move on to just a totally different question that has no relation to that. Is there a need for spiritual elements in a script? Elements that tug at your heartstrings, emotional elements in a neo-noir script? Or should a neo-noir script be filled with action and blood and guts and big endowments of various people, action, blood, all that banging up stuff? Or should the thing be more spiritual or ethereal? Or do you have any say on which area you, as an artist, you want to go into?
Yeah, of course. I think it's important that we sort of honor traditional film noir instead of that kind of crime and gory aspect. But of course, in neo-noir, you have to bring sort of new and exciting ideas to the table that are present in the current era. And I think for me personally, sort of being able to personify my own thoughts, expressions, and feelings, I think it's really important to have that sort of spiritual aspect to really kind of paint that canvas of what can not be sort of described in words.
Kieran, what are we going to expect from you in the future, and how can we reach you?
I'm currently working on sort of shorter format projects at the moment, sort of using archival and stock footage to tell a story, sort of as a search for challenging myself and my storytelling and editing ability. And I think the easiest way to find me is just via email kieranmorris63@gmail.com, or I have my Instagram, which is KIERAN.M0RRIS1.
Thank you so much, Karen. We're going to say goodbye, but not, we're going to say farewell, but not goodbye, or something to that regard. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Now it's time to say goodbye to KO and Kieran. Okay, now we're going to speak to the legendary Shelley Johnson II, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! Woo!
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Karen. Shelley.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm excellent. I'm waiting to hear from you. I'm looking at you. I'm doing great. Let's talk about the project, though. Let's stop looking into each other's eyes and just talk about what your story's about. Let's hear about that.
All right, perfect. So, yeah, obviously, my name is Shelley Johnson, and I'm the director for an animated short film called The Atomic Valor, The Floating Kodo. It's actually an anime, and we chose to make it a silent film. And it's actually just with the music kind of just takes you through the whole process. And basically the film is about, it takes place in the Edo era. And it's about a blind warrior that helps change the fate of Japan through music. And the major themes are just about basically trauma and a strong femininity. So we have strong feminine characters, and also the characters are also people of color. So our main character is actually Black, and you'll see a bunch of people of color in the anime as well.
Let me ask you, Shelley, that's a profound combination. A little of the Japanese aspect as well as the Black culture in it, a little bit of collard greens, a little bit of egg roll. Let me ask you, Shelley, have you received any pushback from the Japanese community about taking some of their style or incorporating some Asian elements into your work? And at the same point, do you feel that, well, I ask you that, deal with that question first. What is your take on what I just said? Because I can't remember it, to be honest with you.
No, I haven't gotten any pushback. I think that this kind of already what kind of goes on with anime anyway, but reverse. We see our culture all the time in anime. You look at anime sort of like Samurai Champloo, and it's all hip hop. There's all jazz and sort of those characters, characteristics in them. And if you want to go even a step further, there are really no Black characters in anime. If you want to go to the Black characters in anime, it's Piccolo, and he's green, and he's in Dragon Ball Z.
Wow.
So, we kind of just wanted to neo-noir, wanted to do something new. And it's a shame that it is new. It should be, since we all exist on the same planet, we're all humans, this is what we should be seeing anyway. This is really our actual reality. So we just wanted to make something that hopefully just inspires the the generations to come.
One more question in a little bit similar fashion, Shelley. Do you, as who you are, have any reservations? Or I'm thinking in my mind, I'm thinking of different actors in the past that have made people look bad. The various step and fetch it. Even in the neo-noir films, we kind of look bad or had a bad look in the early film noir films in certain instances. Do you have any type of obligation in your films to portray the Black characters, or all characters rather, on a certain way? Or is it just if they fit the role and they got to get killed in it and they have no dignity or whatever? Talk to me a little bit about, are there any obligations you feel as a director, or none at all? What's your view on that?
Well, I do have an obligation to represent my culture appropriately. So that's always in the forefront of my mind. But one of the main things that I feel obligated to is actually to portray femininity the way it should be portrayed, not just as fragile like a flower, but fragile like a bomb. So that's why I try to incorporate characters, strong female characters that are very balanced and that are very equal with the men as well, because I think that's the type of future that I actually want to see. And even our main character kind of made them kind of androgynous. And so that's, like I said, that's kind of something that I feel like I have an obligation for, is to maybe not dig so much or pull things from the past, I think we should kind of just look towards the future and kind of just see the generation that's coming up and, you know, see how easily they are to adapting and being fluid with all this stuff too. So that's what my outlook is.
Shelley, you tell us about your future project and how we can reach you.
Well, you can reach me primarily on Instagram. It's who is Teary and Purple. I'll go ahead and put that in the chat as well. And then my future projects, I'm currently developing a animated television series right now. I can't really talk too much about that, but I am really excited about it. It has to do with music, just the way this kind of my film has to do with music. Just wanted to make music the star and to kind of guide you through. And so those are kind of my next projects that I'm working on right now.
It's been a pleasure hearing from you, Shelley. I'm sure we'll hear great things from you very soon. Have a good day.
Thank you.
The next person we're going to meet is the person you've all been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen. I know that person is wondering, who is he going to say? It's going to be the great, legendary, eeny, meeny, miny, Bill Baber, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear from Bill. Woo!
Hello, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes.
My film, Mr. Buckman Goes to Washington, is a neo-noir because, first of all, it takes place in 1951 in Los Angeles, which is where, you know, the noir films were between 1940 and 1960, many times in the urban setting of Los Angeles. It's the story of a big-time producer in Columbia Studios in Hollywood, who in his younger days as a iconoclast writer was a communist. And he is brought before the Committee on Un-American Activities and basically put in a position where he either has to concede and apologize for what he believed to keep his job, or stand up to them, stick true to his beliefs, and then lose his job. And I think it has modern implications because so many of us at different times in our life, at work or other places, have to think, am I going to compromise here or am I going to stand up? And would I compromise to the extent I lose my job? So the backstory of it is there was in 1939 a famous film called Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, created by Frank Capra. It was considered the American classic about this young senator goes to Washington. In 1989, Congress declared it one of the 50 greatest American films. And I was stunned how a film that was declared to be one of the great American political films was written by a communist. So that led me into this whole study of what it meant at that time. But really, its pertinence now is that people think differently. And what does it mean to be a patriot? Well, different people have different ideas. And if we persecute people who don't agree with us, are we really helping promote our democracy? But it's noir because it, like the classic noir, there's an anti-hero. There's a sense that maybe nobody is really good or completely good or evil. You know, that everybody has light and darkness in them. And I would love to shoot it in black and white. So that's what it's about.
Let me ask you, what would you say your soapbox is, my friend? Do you have a particular thing that you want to push in all of your films about mankind, or is there a moral to your story, this current story that you're speaking of, that can be described in a nutshell? Or what's the message that you think we'll come away with from this film?
Well, I would say the moral of this story is free speech is perhaps the most valuable tool we have in our country and perhaps in any country in the world. And free speech belongs to people who disagree with you, right? It's not free speech if we only allow people to speak or agree with us. And that's a constant battle from the beginning of the nation. Do we suppress speech that we don't agree with because of who they are, or what they stand for? And so I'm sort of a libertarian free speech advocate, and I think it's important that there's another subtext in here in the 50s. This was the period that my electrician friend, if she's still on, that the studios were trying to suppress the emerging trade unions. And the easiest way to get rid of a trade union is to point out one of their leaders was a communist, because then you can knock them out and undermine it. So that whole blacklist period had a lot of anti-union elements to it, because it was the opportunity for the studios to still control the workforce. So that's embedded in the story too.
Bill, tell me about your next project and how can we reach you in the future?
Well, first of all, listening to you, I put my phone number and my email on the screen to make it easy. I am trying an experiment. Maybe some of you will try this too sometime. I am converting this script into a podcast for a couple of reasons. First of all, it requires me to rethink how to write it. But when you have a script, what do you really need? You need a proof of concept to show somebody that it could work. Maybe you can do a short film, or you can do a trailer. But my theory is if I do it as a podcast and people can listen to it, they can see the concept of it. And then hopefully it'll allow me to get people interested. And if no one does, then at least I've made a podcast of my script, because it's hard to get people to read your script, but it's easier to get people to listen to a podcast.
Yeah, I'm thinking very much now of Dungeons and Dragons, a Bill Baber Dungeons and Dragons game with this script involved. But excellent. I love it.
All right.
Thank you so much, Bill. We're going to keep.
Thank you for letting me be a part of this festival. I'm honored.
We're honored that you're honored that we're honored.
Thank you.
Next, people we're going to hear from, who haven't we heard from? Have we heard from Peter Hardy? I don't suspect we have. Let's hear from Peter.
Hey, let me get set up here. Hi.
Hi.
Yes, I'm. I was selected by the festival for a screenplay. I've not made a film. I've been submitting screenplays to film festivals for a couple of years now. I've won awards for a number of them. I've won a few for this one, Nocturnal, that was selected by this festival. Haven't yet figured out how to translate that into getting films made.
I see.
I'm currently planning to shoot a film of my own on an iPhone that's going to be about a minute long. That's going to be sort of my start to, learning the process. But Nocturnal is very, very much inspired by Alfred Hitchcock. It's a psychological mystery about a visionary experimental theater director who nearly drowned when he was a boy. And he becomes fascinated with a woman who wanders through neighborhoods at night, stealing into people's yards and swimming in their pools. He tries to unlock the mystery of her past, and through that process comes face to face with secrets from his own past. So,
the thing I like about you, my friend, is that you're so dedicated to neo-noir. I can only see your face in the top of your head, and it's giving me that neo-noir vibe of, we got to figure out if I'm really telling the truth. And now you're getting like us now. That's fine as well. You can do that if you want, but I really enjoyed the half, under the face, like, hey, what do you mean?
Okay.
I
was referring to my notes.
There you go. No worries. No worries. I'm referring to mine too. Let me ask you, what's your next project, my friend? What are you working on next?
Well, I'm also a playwright. I've been writing plays for many years and only fairly recently started writing screenplays. I'm currently working on a play and a screenplay. The play is about a woman who has multiple people living inside her. It's not I don't regard it as being someone who has what they refer to as multiple person disorder, or whatever the term is.
Right.
I think actually having more than one person living inside you is fairly common. It's true of myself. So that's what that play is about. And I'm writing a screenplay, which is trying to be a kind of a cross between film noir and what they used to call a woman's picture, which is described as someone in the screenplay describes it as stories about women in which they suffer and sacrifice. Then they find love or they die, sometimes both.
Yes.
So it's that's what that one's about. That's what I've been working on more recently. I hope to have that finished within the next couple of months.
And Peter, where can we reach you if we want some more of this good neo-noir that you're producing?
Well, it may be the simplest way to do that would be to contact me through my theater. I have a theater company in Atlanta, Georgia. That's where I live.
Okay.
We specialize in new plays written by Georgia playwrights. It's called the Essential Theater. And if you go to the Essential Theater's website, which is www.essentialtheater.com, you can contact me if you want to.
Thank you so much, Peter, for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Well, and we'll look forward to seeing great work from you. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a rich production here today. I feel very rich to be honored to be involved in this. But speaking of that, let's hear from Rich, the producer, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead, Rich.
Hey, how you doing now?
I'm excellent. How are you?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. Feeling good.
I'm Rich, as they say.
My name is Brian Capshaw, stage name, Rich the producer, you know.
Right. Tell us about your project, Rich. Rich, tell us about your project. Oh, hold on one second. I think Rich got kicked off the phone. I think you got to come back on, Rich, if you can hear me in the afterlife, something to that effect. In the meantime, let me go over here to Laura Kelber. Laura, can you turn your, unmute yourself for a second? I want to ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
Laura, you're a woman. You're one of the few women we have on this panel. Well, I don't want to say that. I don't know who is and who isn't, but I know that you got some inside research on being a woman for a long time. What is it that you think? Can you write from a man's point of view, you think?
All right.
Hey,
I'm back.
Rich, hang on for a second, Rich. We had to talk to somebody else for a second. We're going to come right back to you. We're saving the best for later.
All right.
Just mute yourself.
No
and
problem.
hang out. We'll be with you in a second. Laura, are you
right.
still there? You still alive, Laura?
Yep, I'm still here.
All right. What?
Well,
Go ahead.
I hope I can. I mean, I don't think anyone just wants to be limited to writing about someone who's exactly like themselves. I don't want to just have to write about like old cranky fat women from Brooklyn, for example. You know, I want to branch out a little and include all kinds of people, old, young, black, white, male, female, and everything in between.
I see. Very profound. I shouldn't write about old cranky white women, but they're okay. We're going to move on now back to Rich. Thank you so much, Laura. Rich, are you there? Let's try it again.
Man, I am here. I'm sorry.
No worries, my friend.
It's all that good love down here in Tennessee. You know, we're on top right now. So, you know.
Indubitably.
But anyway, back to it, man. The project, man, is called G Daddy the Cartoon. It's an animated series that we've done here. And it's like, it's G Daddy and his grandson, man. You know, they got a lot of adventures, and the grandson is taking over the business, man, of pimping and hustling. And he's running into a lot of wacky characters, man, and a lot of absurd situations that his grandfather's putting him into. Just imagine Fred Sanford and Lamont right here. This kind of hyped up on steroids, you hear me? So, you know, this is what's going on. And you know, Rich is taking these things and he's using his creativity to fix these problems that his grandfather has going on around the nation, man. And basically his grandfather owns some nursing homes, and he's using these nursing homes to pump the weed and pimping out of the nursing homes, basically, man. It's like I said, it's Fred Sanford on steroids.
So this, you're basically saying this is a story for the kids, basically. That's what
hey, give it to them, baby. Give it to them. Adult Swim all the way.
There we go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let me ask you something, Rich, the producer. Do you, I'm asking everybody here controversial questions that you can answer or not answer. You can say that question is too controversial. Then we'll say, oh, we got them there. But let me ask you this question. Do we as artists, particularly, I don't know if you're white, you could be a white guy. Do you have an obligation as whatever you are to your culture to portray them in a positive light? Or does that not play an effect when you make a film? Or do you have any say in that? Is the key to just make great art talk to me about any obligations you may feel you have or don't have to this particular neo-noir art.
It's a catch-22, man. It works both ways. You want to do great art, you don't want to lose that, you know, but at the same time, you want to stay within the realms. You want to show something good out of this, in which we do. We showed this man turning things around and helping people, and show you the things that you don't see that they show on TV, the news about what we're doing. So we're showing you what he's doing with the money, which is changing people's lives. And, you know, and I feel it is an obligation to show us in a good way and a good light, but it's also the biggest obligation to show what's my art, period. You know, that's the biggest thing to me. It's the art. It's about the art.
They say, I've heard different arguments from people that art imitates life and life imitates art, and it keeps passing the buck. Because when I go to art, it says, go talk to life, and life goes, tell me, go talk to art. So let me ask you, Rich, do you feel, I don't know if I see that in the other cultures where they do, the Italian people tell them that Goodfellas is going to make you turn out to be a gangster, but they do say that with gangster rap. They say that, you know, if you listen to too much of this, you're going to go out and slap your mama, or you're going to do something crazy. It's something to that effect.
No, man. People have their own point of view of how they're going to do things, man. Everybody's destined to how they are. It's just how the different people think, you know, and I don't think that my art or, you know, rap artists saying that they do this is making people do anything. I think people are going to do what they do. Those people, because if there was, then everybody would do it. You know, it's people going to do what they want to do. It's just those people are those kind of people. You know, art is art, man. And, you know, you can't see, it's like I said, it's a catch-22. You can't sit there and think about those things. You have to just do what's inside, man. It's a natural flow, man. If you stop the flow, it's not good, man. You just got to go with it.
Tell me, Rich, the producer, what you're working on next, and how can we reach you in the future?
Man, what we're working on is big, man. I'm gonna tell you something, man. We got a lot of stuff, but I'm gonna give you Hell on Earth, Ho. And it's about the devil coming to Earth through a portal, and he's changing things. You know, he's down here doing some things you ain't seen before, man. And I'm really impressed with my co-writer with this one, man. We've had a really good time with this. You know, you want to talk about art, we just let go on this.
I want you to promise me he's not coming through a bucket of fried chicken. Promise me that.
No, man, but he can be whatever, man. He male, female, you know, any nationality. You know what I'm saying? This one is that thing, man. I can't wait to focus on that, right? You know, right now I'm having to focus on G Daddy and, you know, taking care of that. And I got so many things coming, man. You know, I'm ready to keep going, man. I need to get the money to go.
Where can we reach you, Rich, to give you some of that money?
Hey, man, deanthegreat2@gmail.com. That's DEANGREAT, the number 2@gmail.com, or my phone number 865-936-0945. If you want to hire me, you know, I'm for hire, man. You know, Tennessee boys, we're number one. Remember that. So we're gonna make you number one.
Touche. Thank you so much, Rich. We want to thank you for coming here. I don't want anybody to leave who cannot leave. Wait a minute. I don't want anybody to go that doesn't have to go. If you gotta go, so long. But those of you who can stay, stick around. Before I go any further, I had some specific questions for you all, but I want to thank our sponsors, iPad TV. What's the next one? Radio Theater for the Soul. Radio Theater for the Soul with Shanice Coleman. Thank you for your support. We want to thank Final Draft Software. We want to thank SMG Distribution, as well as Film Freeway. Film Freeway is a great site. Film Freeway is a great site to go to get your films made and all that good stuff. Great, wonderful place. We love you, Film Freeway, don't we? Yes. Now we want to go And I want to ask each artist, we go into the schools, you know, the elementary schools as well as the high schools. They won't let us into preschools yet. I don't know what their problem is, but we want to talk to each of you and get some advice to give to all of these aspiring, crazy filmmakers we got working in these little 5th grades and 8th grades. They're dangerous. So we got to get them into these neo-noir stories. First, we want to go to Laura Kelber. Laura Kelber, give us some advice to the young people who are starting out writing. Share with us what you think they should do.
I think they should start by watching a shitload of movies and TV and start looking at them and saying, why do I like this? Why do I hate this? And sort of teach themselves first of all, what they enjoy, and then start trying to make things that they themselves enjoy.
Thank you so much, Laura. Next, we're going to move on to Mr. Peter Hardy. Tell us, Peter, what should the kids do?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about what Laura just said, and I would agree with that. I actually, the advice I would have for kids probably don't need, because kids aren't afraid. I think older people are more likely to be afraid. One of the things that I had to learn was to not let my feeling intimidated by technology stop me from trying to do things, because I don't like to, I'm not ready to learn new technological things, you know. Just because I'm older and I'm not as likely to want to, let me figure out how this camera works, you know. I had to learn that not to let my being intimidated by technology be an excuse for stopping. I don't know if you would need to say that to kids, because I don't think kids would be likely to, you know, they wouldn't be afraid of that.
Yeah. I've worked in the schools before. If they can get to the porno, I know they can get to everything else, man. We want to talk now to Rich, the producer. We just spoke to you, but that made me feel guilty, man. I'm going to put, just in case we get into the senior citizens home, what would you tell the middle-aged children as well as the senior children that are in their 70s and 80s that are just starting to write? What advice would you give them as far as writing is concerned?
From the young age all the way up, there's only one thing to say: go with your heart. Go with your heart. That's all you have to do. What you have in your heart, man, follow that. That's going to take you to the truth.
Damn, that's it. Okay, good night, everybody. No, we're just kidding, everybody. We're going to move on to Kai. Thank you, Rich. Kai, talk to us and tell us what we need to do to be great writers.
So I know earlier I kind of espoused the whole bit about conflating songwriting and screenwriting. I think one thing that's very vital to me is the idea one thing that I feel like people that writers as well as just, you know, people in reality, you know, in their everyday lives, they have trouble reconciling. We have trouble reconciling people's you know, multiple facets of their personality and their being. And we would tend to, you know, have a lot of labels for people, you know, like, you know, he's this, she's that, you know, we kind of don't understand how, you know, I think in general, I think having characters that, you know, have self-contradicting attributes, as would seem, which actually aren't self-contradictory, it's just them being themselves. I think that, you know, that will make characters more believable. You know, because I think we all, you know, struggle with that, and we feel like we're not seen. You know, I think we feel like we often have one facet of our identity that we uphold, you know, and I think if you can show someone who has a, you know, like a dark side, a light side, you know, and has like the titular character of my film, Dissolve Girl, she has the persona of being this, like, you know, badass, tough computer hacker, you know, akin to, say, Trinity from the Matrix. But then, you know, in private, in her own little headquarters in her bedroom, she has a princess mirror and she has, you know, stuffed animals and stuff. And she hides that from everyone else, but it's there, you know. And I think that believability and that relatability with characters is I think that's something that you know will elevate any screenplay or any film.
Profound words, ladies and gentlemen, from Kai. Give it up for Kai.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank
Finally, well, not finally, last but nearly not least, the one I know we're going to bring another person on. We're going to bring on Kaya, ladies and gentlemen. Talk to us about what we need to tell people to become great neo-noir writers. Neo-noir writers as opposed to romantic comedies. Screw those guys. We're talking about Kaya. Okay, speak to us.
I feel like for just to be a better writer in general, you have to be a good reader, whether you're trying to write prose or screenplay, verse, anything. I think the more that you read, the more that you consume, the better you write. And I think just read fiction, like read character stories, learn about different people's experiences and like how other people talk and like relate to each other, and like different kinds of comedy and different kinds of just like ways of communicating, and all of that can contribute to like what you like, figuring out your own voice and what you enjoy like consuming, to be able to kind of find and nail down your own voice of what you want to create and like get to that space where you're like confident in your own writing.
Touche. Thank you, Kaya. We're going to move on now to Mulaki. Come on, Mulaki, and talk to us about great neo-noir writing and how you get to it.
Ooh, I think that's a toughie, I'll be honest, but I'll try my best.
Yes.
Great neo-noir writing comes from understanding tropes and understanding what the basics of a neo-noir are, the characters, the stories, the themes, and playing around with them in interesting ways. You can very easily make a bog standard neo-noir because you know what a femme fatale is, and you know that it's going to be fatalist and nihilistic. But what you're actually going to get is something that's quite average. Whereas if you're playing with that, if you're using that to make your own story, that's how you're going to make something that will really leave a mark.
Touche.
That's how I see it.
Right. Thank you so much for that. Move me over here to the great Morris Small. I'm going to ask you a different question, but it's pretty much the same one, actually. Tell us about neo-noir storytelling, because you make films. How do you tell a great neo-noir story, and what have you gained from your many years of making neo-noir tales? How do you tell it if you're just starting out?
Go to the past. Find a genre or something that fits your personality, your story, kind of has, your similarities. That's what I did. I went back as far as Jack Nicholson. He did some film called Chinatown. It was other films after that. And it made a lot of sense. And then I kind of sped up to the current time, which is, Sin City. I use those examples to just try to see how they would fit for my project, and just try to take bits and pieces of it that fit, not too much as copying it, but try to stay in the genre, and just more so just trying to, it's just figuring out the puzzle, trying to make a Sin City, but make it a comedy about a detective in DC. That's, that's something.
Thank you very much. Okay, Karen Morris, the relative of Morris D. Smalls, tell us about how we get to great neo-noir storytelling.
Yeah, I think, as said before, sort of writing from the heart and sort of incorporating like a personal aspect into your narrative. It kind of, it speaks words, it speaks volumes, because no one can really tell your own story better than you can. So yeah, honestly, just whatever it is, like if it's something you're going on in your life, or you just want to get that out there and just sort of express it and maybe confront something that's bothering you, I think that's a really important aspect to writing a film noir or neo-noir.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, let's hear from Shelley. We haven't heard from him. Let's hear what he has to say. It's up to you, Shelley.
Well, I think it's about sort of being present and looking at the reality in front of you, and then being able to take complex themes and make them digestible to other generations. I think for me, I think that's you know, the secret, or, you know, the key to good writing. And like Kaya said, to be a reader as well, because, you know, you're able to create different visualizations, or you're able to visit different worlds. And then so you can take bits and pieces from those different worlds that you visited and create your own world as well.
Very profound words. I'm deeply moved by that. We're going to have Stuart Long tell you why that's just some crap. Don't go for that kind of stuff. Stuart, tell him what's wrong with him and tell him how you would.
I agree with it. If you're going to write, I'd say you need to read, like Kaya said. A lot of times I write, I get stuck, and I think, okay, I got to go read something. I got to find some other motivation or some way to get over this hurdle. So you read, you write, you read, you write.
Stuart, thank you, man. You told me that. Stuart, your audio is really acting crazy. Let's go back to you. I think you maybe need to turn the speaker down. I think something's happening, but hold off for a second, and we're going to let Bill Baber here. Get it together. Okay. And Bill Baber's going to come in here and tell us about
with the audio.
Really acting crazy. Let's go back. I think there's a ghost in here. Bill.
You want me to pause and get it under control?
Yeah, just get it on. Hold on. All right, let's come back to my friend. Let's try it again, my friend. Go ahead. What the hell? Okay, let's go to Bill Baber. Go ahead and talk to us, Bill.
When you think about neo-noir, which is the new noir, and you think of the lead character, can you hear me?
Hold on one second, Bill.
Get it under control.
Whoever is not muted, mute the hell out of yourself, please. All right. Everybody turn their stuff off. From Stuart to everybody, we just want to hear from Bill. Bill should be the only one that's.
Okay, now I can barely hear you.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Bill. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's some sort of echo. So when you think of neo-noir, which is new noir, you think of, well, what was the original noir? What was the protagonist? He or she was usually some form of anti-hero. He or she wasn't all 100% good, 100% bad, some mix of it. And neo-noir has followed that too. So that's fascinating because, first of all, it's true. No human is 100% good or 100% evil. We're all combinations of 55-45, right? And so each of those characters exploring that is really the key of making neo-noir, especially in the protagonist. He or she cannot be this Prince Charming on a hero's quest. That is not neo-noir. He or she is a flawed individual that runs into flawed individuals, and his flaws are exposed and perhaps lead him to destruction, or perhaps he or she wakes up and leads them to a redemption. But to me, that's the central piece of it, and that's hard to write. Except it isn't, because just think of yourself. Everyone here is a mix of good and evil, and everyone we know is a mix of good and evil. So that's what makes neo-noir great.
Profound words of deepness and authenticity. What it meant, I don't know right now. I'm going to have to go back and look at it. We want to listen now to the legendary Stuart Long, ladies and gentlemen. But thank you, Bill.
Okay, hopefully you can hear me and it's not too much noise. Good. What was the question? I was busy adjusting things. What was your question?
The question is, what do we tell an aspiring neo-noir writer that's just starting? How do we help him out? What advice do you have?
Well, it's like Rich, the producer, said, you write from the heart, you write from your experiences. you have a story in mind, and a well-told story is what people want to tune into. And better the story, just improve your storytelling. Being a Southerner down here, if you're a good storyteller, whether you're 7 years old or 70 years old, then you're known as a good storyteller. So you're like the celebrity in the community. Some people are just really good at it, and some of us, like me, I have to work at it. But find a story that you really believe in, that you find entertaining, and then just work on it and construct it the way you think somebody else would like to see it and hear it.
Touche. Thank you so much, Stuart. Let's hear from Henry. I haven't heard from him yet. We're asking Henry about what makes a great neo-noir writer who's never
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Stuart, and we're ready for you to turn that.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Can you repeat that?
Thank you so much, Stuart.
Can you repeat that, please?
The question, Henry, is we have a guy that's never picked up a pen and paper before. No, that's too backwards. He's never done neo-noir writing before. Let's just say that. Let's start there. What advice do you have being the great neo? I mean, you're so good, you're in the LA Neo-Noir Film Festival. So what can you tell him to make him a great neo-noir writer? Or her, or they, what would you tell them?
My advice is watch a lot of neo-noir films, classic films like Citizen Kane, or read some books about the historics of the past, like when I'm portraying the white characters and the black female characters, and trying to get more the deeper history, how to portray the parallels between the two characters, what are their connections, and how to create a reflection. So basically, you wanted to create a reflections of ourselves or from others, that you wanted to say, this happens today. When I make my film, senior film for my Savannah College Art Design films, you wanted to give more explanation, backstory, basically, more history, learn from historic books, basically.
I see. Thank you very much, Henry. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our magnificent LA Neo-Noir VIP interview. Before I go, this is going to be the cut up scenes we're going to put in between it here. I'm going to give you 20 seconds to think up a question or make a final comment. So this is your opportunity to shine and answer all the questions that Carrie did not have the brilliance to ask you. You're going to ask me whatever you'd like to ask me, or you can state whatever you'd like to state. If one of you wants to break out into a to be or not to be or something to that effect, go ahead. But this is your moment to shine and get your question answered or make your statement to the world. We're going to start first. Who's left? Everybody left. Oh, bye, everybody. Shelly Johnson's here. Well, I got to give you 20 seconds. 20, 19, 18. Okay, go ahead.
Just go with your passion, honestly. I don't think there's really a lot of times a rule book to living life. So I just think don't necessarily try to duplicate somebody else's path. Just try to create your own. Go with what feels right to you. You'll know when it's not your path because it'll feel wrong. And that's pretty much all I have to say.
Be well, Shelly. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. You as well.
Next, we want to hear from the great Stuart Long.
I just say keep reading, writing. Just write, and make a story your own, and make it important to you. And hopefully it'll be entertaining enough that others will want to read it and write and film it.
Thank you, Stuart. Bill Baber, you got the floor.
Filmmaking is a collaborative medium. So my advice is, if you want to be a filmmaker, just start making films. You can do it on your phone. You not only will get a chance to understand light and composition, more importantly, you understand how to motivate a crew and to work with a team, because a filmmaker who can't put a team together is never going to make a film.
Thank you, Bill. All right, Henry, you got the floor.
Filmmaking is about the art of heart and soul. So it's really about reflecting ourselves. How are we gonna prove ourselves like any disability artists like me to prove themselves? So how are we gonna make ourselves more power reflection of the story? So therefore, you want to encourage the others to share your passion, your dreams.
Thank you. Laura Kelber, we've been waiting to hear from you. Let's hear it.
We've got a very limited supply of classic noir, so keep the neo-noir coming strong.
Yes. All right, Kai, let's hear from you.
Hey, I think not just with neo noir, but any kind of filmmaking in general, any kind of art. I think you know, you don't have to get all the steps right, all the technicalities right. You know, I think it's kind of like you know, I'm sorry.
What the hell is that? I don't know.
I'm sorry. Let's take that again. I think it's not about, you know, getting every perfect little thing right, but it's about moving like you mean it. And I think, you know, that passion, you know, and that the soul will, you know, that will be evident. And I think, you know, film noir, I think, is a lot like what Neil Young once said about rock music. It's about finding that place where Christ and the devil shake hands.
Touche. I'm always looking for that interaction. Let's hear from Morris D. Small. We're asking a question or making a profound statement, Morris, about filmmaking, neo-noir filmmaking.
I would say pretty much generalizing what everybody else is saying. Don't be afraid to explore. Don't be afraid to leave your mark. Don't be afraid to mentor people. I think that me becoming more into the directing, I've learned to just be more collaborative. And like I believe Stuart said or Bill said, you know, you got to have a team. You got to have people that's going to have the faith in you and not make them look bad, to be able to direct, entertain, complete the project, and let the world see what you've done. So just explore as much as possible.
Morris, do you have any favorite neo-noir movie outside of your own? Because I know nothing's better than that. But what are there any other movies out here that you would recommend that's a great neo-noir film that you found entertaining?
I really like Sin City. It's just something about it was gritty. It was surprisingly good. I just like the style of it. You know, it was just an upgraded version of something that would have came out when the noir genre was coming out. It's just an upgraded version. It's just something about it. I love it. It's kind of funny too. They're great acting. They hit their cues. They hit their marks. They made black and white like the new thing, you know. And I think everybody was trying to come behind them. I definitely was trying to do it. I said how hard it really was. So,
Touche. Kaya, have we spoken with you yet with this question and final statement yet, or no?
No.
Well, then
No.
let's get it on right now. Let's do it.
Okay. Pretty much echoing what everyone else says. Don't be afraid to explore what interests you and surround yourself with people who are willing to help. I'm primarily an actor, but I was just really fascinated by like the noir aesthetic, and I kind of wanted to explore that with our short film. So it's more so just about like the visuals and paying homage to that look and feel. And we had such a great time doing it. And now it's just kind of really inspired me to continue to make my own films and continue to just create and connect with other people who create.
Do you have a favorite neo-noir film, Kaya? No.
I watched a ton of old ones, and I'm primarily a theater person. I watch a ton of old films in school, but of course I love Casablanca as a classic, Vertigo, you know, all the old like 1930s and stuff like that. Yeah.
I'm gonna hit you with the same question I just hit Laura with. Maybe you have a different answer, and you can say how crazy Laura is. How did you have to become a man to write a man's story, or how do you get a good authentic man's voice in your script or story?
I think just listening to the voices around you, like your peers, your family members, and drawing inspiration from people that you know in real life. And obviously, of course, consuming work by artists that have the voice that you're trying to understand and capture and learn from.
I'll use that advice when I write from a woman's perspective. I thought I was going to have to become a woman to write this script, and I was getting really depressed about that. So we're going to move on to the great. Who have I not spoken with? Did I ask Kieran Moore? I did ask Kieran Moore.
No, not yet. No.
Okay, well, let's do it, man. We're on the spot. Let's hit it.
I think just sort of be authentic, approach ideas in a new and exciting way, and express them in as such. And yeah, I think that pretty
sums
much
it up. Favorite movie?
Yeah.
Neo-noir.
Probably favorite neo-noir would have to be Blade Runner. I think cinematography in that is absolutely stunning.
Touche.
Yeah, the original, not the new one.
Thank you, my friend. Oh, nobody likes that piece of crap.
Yeah, okay, I'm glad we can agree on that.
Yeah. Laura Kelber, I didn't ask you your favorite movie, and I'm just nosy, so I'd like to know what it is in neo-noir.
Well, I love Body Heat, but more recently, well, not that recent, but Gone Baby Gone.
Touche. Stuart Long, what's your favorite movie?
It's an old Orson Welles movie, A Touch of Evil. Charlton Heston, Orson Welles. To me, it's just pure neo-noir. Interesting murder case. Interesting characters.
Thank you very much. Mulaki, let's hear from you. We don't want to be.
All right, well, I have been thinking. I think now is a weird time in history, and it's a difficult time for art. But I want to just say to everyone out there, art is not just escape. Art should help us understand ourselves, and it should help us understand the world around us. I think when you finish a film like The Long Goodbye or another neo-noir like Chinatown, you might feel sad, but the lights come up and it should help you understand more about the world. And I think we need more of that right now in a time where we're using art to escape. We should be using it to understand more about ourselves and the people around us. That's all I have to say, really.
Right. And the favorite neo-noir film, Mulaki?
Favorite neo-noir. I've said Chinatown, probably Brick. I know Henry referenced Brick earlier. I love that film. Really good. Probably one of my favorite debut features from a director.
Thank you, Mulaki. We want to hit it over here to Rich, the producer. I don't know what he's going to say, but we want to hear what his favorite neo-noir film is. And this is your opportunity, Rich, to either ask a question or make a profound statement about neo-noir. You have the floor, sir.
Okay, favorite noir film? M. Fritz Lang. Like I said, stick to your heart, man. Follow. Look, when I started this, I started out as a music producer, and something kept moving me towards film. And I just said, go ahead and do it, man. Do it. You got to go with it. You got to go with it. That's the only way, man. If you don't, you'll regret it. You will regret it. Use the juices, man, that God's giving you to create in any way. Art is great, man. It's a magnificent thing, man. It's wonderful. It feels good. Sometimes when I'm creating, I can almost feel how the Native Americans felt when they were doing their spiritual stuff. You have to feel it. I don't know if you guys get that far into it, but with me, the process is I'm doing everything in every category: production, directing, helping animate, helping do everything in every area, so I really get into it. I like to do all of those things because I want to be involved in every aspect of what I've created.
Touche. Ladies and gentlemen, after you...
Oh, wait. Go, if you have Roku, go to your Roku, download GVTV.
Okay.
GVTV, baby. Watch the show, and we got more coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, where are we going to go after that? Give them a hand, everybody. Give yourselves a hand. Woo! Use the juice. Wow. I don't know where to... I got to drink to that. Thank you so much for appearing in the LA Neo Noir VIP interview. This has been
Thank you.
Kerry Westbrook, your gracious host. I want to thank all of my wonderful Neo Noir masters here today. We're all masters today, if I can say that. That's going to be all the time we have for today. Be well. Have a great Neo Noir night. Bye-bye.
Thank you.